Okay. So everyone, we are streaming, and if most of the sound is going through my microphone, so probably if you talk, you won't be heard, but no promises. Just warning, fair warning. If anyone wanted to say anything they didn't want the world to hear, this ain't the time. So I want to talk about Let's Encrypt and Traefik. So this is something that is related to my job and also to a personal project. And so I sort of chose this as a personal project so that it would force me to learn more about my job and get something done for personal projects. So anyhow, let's see. The first thing is we probably have some people who have absolutely no idea what HTTPS or Let's Encrypt or Traefik, why in the world do you care about any of this? And you might have gone to a website, and let's see, I think that this one will give you that. Okay, so you've gone to a website and you've seen this. Scary, scary. And what that is about is that your website isn't using HTTPS. So you can see up in the upper hand there that there's a little cross through the HTTPS, and that is a bad thing. What HTTPS does is it encrypts your communication between your computer and the remote computer and back. All of the communication is encrypted, and that means that whatever you enter, whether it be your credit card information or something nasty you say or your mother's birthday gift secret coming up, whatever it is, it's all encrypted and no one can read it between your computer and the other computer and back. And the reason this is doing that here is because I haven't gotten everything set up right on my sites, but that also makes it easy to find one that doesn't work right. Okay. Okay, the way it works is that you have something called so that's the encryption part. I'm going to talk about the certificates part. The way it works is that there's a certificate authority somewhere, and the certificate authority has some reasonable certainty of who you are and that you are actually who you claim to be. And so what the certificate authority does is it provides an encryption certificate that let's just find Let's Encrypt here. There we go. It provides a certificate to your computer saying, I know these people. I know this website. I know who they are. I know that they are who they claim to be. And here is a cryptography key, essentially. And if you can use that to verify that these other people are really who they say. So it's allowing your computer to positively identify some other website. And then on top of that, you also get encryption so that your communications are not easily intercepted by others, or at least not decoded by others. All right, so the trick is, how do you get this HTTPS and how do you get your own certificate? Years ago, it was kind of hard. You'd have to pay someone a lot of money to get your certificate, and there were these, paid certificate authority issuers and what have you. Most people's websites did not have HTTPS. You would only really need HTTPS if you were doing money transactions. Something where it wasn't just I'm trying to keep mom's birthday present secret. It's something that's really, really important, right? However, the persons who have malicious intent they got really good at hacking into websites and making them do nasty things. And what it turned out was that, if all the websites in the world were running HTTPS and not just the ones that involve banking, then the whole internet would be a lot safer and everything would work a lot better. And so they started a push to get everyone to use HTTPS, and that's an awesome thing. And in order to make that easy, Let's Encrypt came into being, and what this is, as it says here, this is a free, automated, and open certificate authority. And let's show you some of the sponsors. Here are some of the sponsors: Mozilla, Cisco, Google Chrome, I don't know, Shopify, these Facebook. There's a nice list here, and these are all pretty big, some big names. GitHub, some that you've probably seen. And they do this because they know that if everybody else's website is encrypted, that theirs is also safer, right? So it's just a good thing to do. Are there any questions so far? In my audience, I see people who I think have some idea what's going on. I'm mostly doing this in case anyone watches it later. All right, so anyway, how does this work? And the most wonderful thing about it is by magic mostly, and you don't have to do much. That's the part that is the coolest. And what there wasn't magic, let me see if I can get my mouse over to the other side, has been made even easier by a couple of people. So, so the first one I want to show, is this website. So this is Docker Swarm Rocks Traefik. I used these instructions first, and they worked quite well. And the problem is I didn't know they worked quite well. So, oh yeah, okay. Before we really start here, let me do one more thing. Let's have one more little intro. Be careful first. Okay, this certificate authority is free. It's free. So they don't want people just using it and using it and using it and abusing it and using it too much, that sort of thing. So let me see. I need yet another something else over there. Where did I put it? Where did it go? Yep, I have. What I need is a few more tabs open. Maybe it's in here. What? There. Oh, here. It is here. Okay, so Let's Encrypt has rate limits. So the rate limits are pretty steep. So you get, it's how many times you can renew your certificate. Right, so you have a limit to how many times you renew your certificate. And you can look in here. One of the limits is 5, one is 50. It just depends on what you're doing and how you're doing it. Duplicate certificate of 5 certificates per week. Anyway, before you start, most of the time what we do is we just sort of start playing with it and we see what happens, and that's how we learn, a lot of us. I would suggest that that's okay. But one thing to suggest is that you read this and make sure that you are using their staging site whenever you're getting your certificates while you're figuring out what's going on, because their staging site has still it has limits, but the limits are higher and you have more chance of making mistakes and accidentally getting 5 or 10 certificates, which you probably don't want to do anyway. One other thing to keep in mind, make sure your basic site works. But I started because, I don't know, hubris or stupidity or something, and I decided I was just going to build the whole website and just make it all work. And what happened was that my ISP wants complete control over the router to my house, and I am able to access my website from every place in the world except inside my house. And it's at the router that it's being blocked. And so I kept, I put the site up, I took it down, I put it up, I took it down, and then I stopped because I knew about the rate limits, right? And I started trying to figure it out. At that point, I decided to make just a basic site that wasn't HTTPS and figure it out. But the thing is just start with a basic. Make sure you've got at least a website before you start trying to put the encryption on. All right, so anyway, how it works. Let's go. Let me see if I can find. Yeah. So the Traefik site is really a good way. So Let's Encrypt uses something called ACME, ACME, which stands for. Let's see, it's up here somewhere. So this is the Traefik site for Let's Encrypt, and there's where is it? Let's just try. Where is it? It's not going to... Somewhere in here? Maybe it doesn't. Okay, I give up. Anyway, Acme is automated certificate maintenance something. Okay, so what it does is this thing that Traefik provides, it's actually not Traefik, it's Let's Encrypt that provides it. There are lots of other providers of this Acme service. Traefik just happens to be one of them. Acme automatically goes to Let's Encrypt and says, hey, I need an encryption certificate for this website. And it just happens. Like, you don't have to do anything. It just happens in the background, which is really, really, really awesome. Another thing that Traefik does, and it's worth understanding a little bit about Traefik, is Traefik is a load balancer. So one of the things that I have at my house, and all of the websites that are at my house are non-commercial, or one's going to be a non-profit, but still, you know, this is not high traffic. That's why I'm okay to do it at my house. But I'm going to have totally different URLs, at least 3 totally different URLs, plus some subdomains, all coming in on the same IP address. And you have to be able to split those out and say, okay, if it comes on domain A.com, it goes to this backend machine. If it comes in on B.com, it goes to this other backend machine. So what Traefik does is it takes your different domains, and here they have mostly subdomains here, but it can do more. I think I'll find out soon. And based on, you know, it's the same IP address, but based on the headers and the request, it then takes those and you know, sends them to whatever backend machine you need to have that service, and then it just, you know, routes the traffic back and forth automatically for you. And it's made to where it's actually pretty easy. There's a lot of new words to learn, and there's a lot of complication, of course, because it's not that simple, but at least a lot of it just happens for you all automatically. Questions about anything? Nope. Okay. So let's see. So Traefik and Let's Encrypt, they get together by this Acme service that Let's Encrypt offers, and then I found, where did it go? Nope. It was back on this other one. I first found this website, this, like I said, Docker Swarm Rocks /Traefik, and I followed these instructions. I just followed them kind of blindly. I really didn't do much else. In fact, I didn't even follow them perfectly well. I did, when I made my Docker Swarm, I didn't have 1 manager and 2 workers. I have all 3 of mine are managers, and I'm not going to, is there anyone here who doesn't know what Docker is? Okay, good. And for anyone in other audiences that may or may not exist, Docker pretends to be lots of different computers for you all at once on however many computers. And I have a swarm, by the way. Yeah, okay, this is worth showing. This is my Docker swarm. That's it. I bought them all from Free IT Athens, as you can see, and it's just, yeah, it's just a hodgepodge of computers, and actually 3 of them are the swarm, and 1 of them is my SSH entry into the house. And so the SSH, the machine that does SSH, is separate from the swarm for security purposes, and anyhow, and for also sanity purposes. But you know, you can put a Docker swarm on just about anything. But anyway, I have all 3 of the nodes are managers. Anyway, so I went through and I just followed these right along. Here's an export username. I just copied and pasted this onto the command line. Once I had my swarm up and running, you have to have the swarm up and running first. And once I had that running, I used curl. I didn't copy and paste this. I used curl. And, you know, poof, it just worked. And I know that it worked not because I could see my website last night. As I was complaining earlier, I see my website from every place in the world except my house. But today, when I was looking to see, have I started to hit my limits, this is console.lachellefoley.com. My name is Lachelle Foley, by the way. So I've got 2 certificates that got issued for console, CONSUL. I'll explain what that is. And then 2 certificates that got issued for Traefik. So obviously it was working because it went and got certificates. And I looked in the logs and I said, you know, I think this is working. I think I got a certificate. Why can't I see my website? And anyway, so frustrating. So anyway, I also have a third one. Let's see. This is just LachelleFoley.com. This happened today, so this is what's running right now. The ones that have Traefik and console are not running, but there's no, you know, they could be running, and I don't know if I might use those later. I'm not really sure. The purpose of console, by the way, is if you don't know much about Docker Swarm or Docker, then especially, yeah, you have to have some way to get your data transferred to all of your containers. If you have more than one container, so you can have replicas of a service running. So I'll have one of each service running on each of 3 computers. And if one of the computers loses power, then the other 2 take over. So you have this sort of failover redundancy automatically going on. But what happens is all 3 of those containers need to be exactly the same, right? Or else one of them can't just take over for the other. And so you have to have data distributed to all 3 computers all at the same time. And what this console does, console here, that is its purpose, and it's for certificates specifically. It may do some other stuff. I haven't looked carefully, but console will make sure that your certificates are spread across all of your instances of Traefik. Another option that I will explore and probably use, maybe not here, maybe in other contexts in the swarm I'm building, is an NFS mount. You could just have an NFS mount to each machine and have the same data written there and just have it read by all the containers that get spun up, and then you have the same data in all places. Let's see, so where was I? The second thing, however, was I thought, oh, that wasn't working. And so, okay, Davis, who is sitting here, he works with me doing sysadmin, among other things, at UGA. And by the way, all of this, is that you? All right. Everything here is my opinion and possibly occasionally Davis's opinion, and not those of how are your repositories of Frida or Free IT Athens or of UGA, obviously, right? So Docker Traefik, he made this for me because he was doing it anyway. I said, please come help me do this because I don't know if I'll get it done in time. And I tried that other site that I just showed you, and it obviously just worked, but I didn't know it. And so I said, hey, how are you doing with that? And he was working up this, which is really cool too, because what it does is it takes what the guy did on the other site a step further, and he has a version for Swarm and a version for containers. The one for Swarm works. Maybe the containers does, or maybe it doesn't. It does now. Okay, the one for containers works. He made a little bash script, start and stop. So all of those steps that are in that other guy's, you know, export this and export that, all those little steps you put on the command line, he just did the equivalent, something similar to that, and just put it all in a bash script. So all you have to do is start and stop. So even that much easier. So yay. Anyhow, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll try different stuff, hopefully without hitting my Let's Encrypt limit, and see what works better. But I might do a little something in between the 2 of those. Use some of both ideas. I don't know, or maybe just stop where I am. Not real sure. By the way, if you're going to be something that I had to go figure out, and it was not as easy to figure out as I might have wanted, that here, if you're going to your hosting, your DNS, your URL provider, GoDaddy, those kind of guys. Anyway, if you go to them and you're trying to get all of these to point to the same IP address, they don't necessarily make this real easy to find depending on who it is, but you want all of those to be an A name. And so you set all of them as A names, not the /web, that doesn't have to be an A name, but domain.com is an A name, api.domain.com, another a name, back office. So don't call these a forwarded subdomain or something like that. Give them a name reference with an explicit IP address, and just give them all the IP address or an IP address that is being listened to by traffic. So you may have a cluster of multiple machines, and they may all have different IP addresses. And so as long as you're pointing to one of them, you ought to be good. Let's see. So anyway, I most recently got this sort of running. Is it here? No, it's not there. Hang on. This little tiny, little bitty tiny. Where is it? Oh, no, no. Did I? Maybe I closed it. Maybe I didn't. Oh, here it is. It's in another window, and it's huge. Hang on. Um, really, if anybody out there is listening and they've got a really good used projector, Free IT Athens could totally use a really good projector because they don't have one. uh, so anyway, this is, and if you're looking at this streaming, I promise you this looks better in the stream than it does sitting here in the room because the projector is just kind of yucky. And anyway, so this is LachelleFoley.com dashboard. This is the traffic dashboard. I don't really want LachelleFoley.com to be my traffic front end, and that's one thing I definitely have to change. I'm going to change it to where it's traffic.LachelleFoley.com, and that's where I'll go to get to it. But this is traffic up and running, and you can see there's HTTPS, and the website is, the browser is not complaining, and it was really easy to do. Like, the hardest part was the fact that my ISP, I did a port scan, and really the ports for HTTP and HTTPS are blocked for my IP address from within my house, but not from anywhere in the rest of the world. So, whatever. Anyhow, and yeah, it really just worked. So then the next thing is I get traffic. I have to set up some services in the back end in my Docker Swarm, and I'll just have traffic pointing things back where they need to go. It really is. It's awfully easy. So if you need HTTPS on your website, it especially, like, look at what Davis did, or this other guy is, and or both of them possibly, to really get a much broader idea of what's going on. And yeah, it works really well. Comments, questions, or anything? Yeah, more? No? You're enjoying it. Okay, well, that's kind of all I got. That's as far as I got. and it took a while to get to there because those machines I showed you, I had to install them all. I took off a few days from work because I needed it for mental health reasons, and because it's been insane the last year or two. And during those days, I installed machines for this purpose and such. Anyway, yeah, no questions, comments. So really, like, super simple, and I like that, that they've made, at least someone has made this thing that's really important for the community, the ecosystem, so to speak, made it really easy to do. It's just cool. Okay, well, that's all I got. Let me see. I, just to repeat that for the video stream, what Davis was saying is that traffic doesn't have to run in Docker. It's just really easy to run in Docker, but you can use it on metal machines. You can, or other sorts of services, and it can even be Docker or virtual machines on your home, virtual machines in the cloud on Amazon Web Services or Rackspace or whatever else gives you space. This sort of thing will run pretty much anywhere. Yeah, yeah. I don't see any. Oh, there are 3 people watching. Hi, yay. um, And I don't see any I don't see any comments from remote. If you made a comment, I don't see it. I think I'm looking in the right place. I really don't know how to use YouTube very well. All right. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Well, awesome. Everybody, take it easy. If you have questions, feel free to ask. I would probably be even. Uh, I can share if anyone is interested. You know, like the how to set up your swarm or what have you. It's really easy. You just follow the instructions honestly on the swarm mode site. It's not hard at all. Right. Okay. Well. Yay. Great.